What's up, guys? It is Frankie here. It is week 2 of the 2021 NFL season. It is time to make some predictions. Let's get right to it. We start off with the Thursday night game, and you know the NFL season is back when we get a really bad Thursday night football game to start. It's the New York Giants and the Washington to be determines. Washington is a 4-point favorite. Neither team looked great here in week 1. The Giants offense continues to be bad. Daniel Jones did another fumble. Saquon and Kenny Galladay both were non-factors. I just have some major concerns here about. I just have the fear that we've seen the best of Saquon here and that he's not going to be able to recover. I don't know when Galladay will be fully healthy, but yeah, Jones looked bad. The Giants' defense just let Denver march all the way down the field with those third downs. Washington, they also didn't look great. Their defense surprisingly struggled. They did not really get to Justin Herbert most of the days. Their third down defense was also really bad. Now they've lost Fitzpatrick for who knows how long. Taylor Heinicke is I'm not really a total believer yet in Taylor Heinicke. He does bring a certain energy to the team every time he shows up. So there are some good positives there. I just don't know if he's reliably the long-term quarterback for the future here. But in this game, though, I do think he's going to win it here. I'm not a believer in this Giants team. I want to believe in this Giants team, but they have not given me any good reason to believe in them yet. And I just feel like Washington, you just look at them, top to bottom. I think the defense has to break out. They have to be better than what they were yesterday. And I just think that Heinicke will be able to do some things. He'll provide a spark. He'll get the team going. So not a very pretty Thursday night game. I would recommend skipping this one, but I think Washington pulled this off here, and the Giants sadly go to 0-2. Give me Washington -4. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Chicago Bears. The Bears are 3.5-point favorites. Very interesting game here. I honestly don't understand why the Bears are 3.5-point favorites. After watching them yesterday, maybe the line will go down by the time the week rolls on. The Bears looked awful yesterday against the Rams. Their defense also awful. Along with their offense and defense, just complete train wreck there. The Bears' secondary was a big problem there, which is something that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, if those two can get it going, I feel like they can exploit that team there. The Bears have problems on the left tackle. It just, whether it's Dalton or Fields, I just feel like this team is in a world of trouble right now. Cincinnati, not perfect, but looked really. I mean, that was a nice performance there yesterday against Minnesota. Joe Mixon had a solid game. Joe Burrow really seems like, I still don't know if they still think they might be a year or two away from really becoming a playoff contender. But Joe Burrow has really looks like gotten it going here so far in the first game. Did great in overtime yesterday to set up the winning field goal. As long as they have Burrow, they seem like they've got it under control. I know Chicago's 3.5-point favorites, but I'm really not buying it. I'm not a big believer in it here. I think Cincinnati pulls off the win here. If not, I think maybe they lose by 3. I think Cincinnati, the combination of Mixon, Burrow, again, if Chase gets in there, all the problems that Chicago had yesterday, I think all of that leads to a Cincinnati win here. Could be interesting. I mean, this is another game where I don't think either team's making the playoffs, but in this instance, I think Cincinnati is just a little bit more, maybe not talented, but they're just more prepared right now. They just seem they have more things going on than Chicago does, which seems like that could be a complete mess. Give me the Bengals here, plus 3.5 over the Bears. Texans and the Browns. The Browns are 11.5-point favorites. This is interesting because Houston was way better yesterday than I think any of us thought. I had Houston being the worst team in the league. And while Jacksonville's not a very good team, and the Urban Meyer experiment, that also might be something that, it's one game in, so I can't really make too many broad conclusions about that. But gosh, Jacksonville was ill-prepared yesterday. And the Texans look good. The Texans, by the way, are leading the AFC South. But I think this is really the game where we really see how Tyrod Taylor plays. This is where we see if that defense can pick it up here against Cleveland. Cleveland looked excellent yesterday for 3 quarters. Unfortunately, in the fourth, they blew it. But they looked, offensively, they really controlled the game. We do wonder, is OBJ going to be back for this game here? We thought he was going to be here. He was on the field yesterday. Then he was ruled inactive. Hopefully he can come back in this game here. Hopefully he can bring Cleveland back and get them pumped up here again, because we know what OBJ can do when he's healthy. We saw what he did with the Giants. In the slight glimpses of Cleveland, we saw what he can do. This is a big line. 11.5 is a monster spread. I bet Cleveland can cover it though, and I'm just not sold on Houston here being able to. I think Cleveland will get to Tyrod Taylor a little bit, Not sold on Houston being able to do this 2 weeks in a row. If Houston does it 2 weeks in a row, God bless them if they're able to make this a competitive game here against Cleveland after we all thought they were going to be the worst team in the league. But I think Cleveland is just in a better place right now. They went toe-to-toe with the best team in the AFC. And their offense really looks fantastic once again here. And if they bring Beckham back, who knows what they can do. So I say Baker, Chubb, the whole team. I think Cleveland is in complete control here in this game. Give me the Browns minus 11.5 over the Texans. The Rams and the Colts. The Rams are 4.5-point favorites. The Matthew Stafford era got off to a pretty great start yesterday. I mean, right out of the gate, you have that 67-yard touchdown to Van Jefferson on the opening drive. I do have worries about them on the running game. Obviously losing Cam Akers was awful. We'll have to see how they do in the running game. But the passing game looks really solid right now with Stafford, with Cooper Kupp, with Jefferson. They just look like they've really got it going there. And it looks like Stafford already feels right at home. What was he yesterday? 20 for 26, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, for Indianapolis here, I kind of figured that was going to happen there. Still not a big believer in Carson Wentz. The Colts' offensive line looked so bad yesterday. We thought, okay, maybe they were going to be better. They looked so terrible. Seattle really looked like old Seattle there, the way they were just pressuring the Rams. And, Wentz just didn't look like he had a lot of time to throw. The Colts defense much better yesterday in the second half than it was in the first half. They sacked Russell Wilson 4 times yesterday in the second half, but they also gave up 257 yards in the first half yesterday. So we don't know which Colts defense it's going to be. I think if they struggled a little bit against the Seahawks, I think they will struggle much more mightily against the Rams. That is a team that looks like they've got it under control right now. Offensively, against Stafford, the whole team looked so good against the Bears. It looked like he'd been there for 5-6 years, the way that he had it going there. So I think the Rams, this game's on the road. It did help yesterday that game was at home. They really looked motivated, excited to be there, playing in front of their home fans. I just think if you look at it here, Stafford looked great. Questions about the running game, but besides from that, offense, defense, special teams yesterday, the Rams looked great, and I think that will continue to be. I think they're only going to get better here as the season goes on. I think Sean McVay, now that he's got a real quarterback again, I think that the Rams are really going to step it up here. So 4.5 on the road. Why not? I don't see any reason not to go against the Rams here. Give me the Rams minus 4.5. The Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. The Bills are 3.5-point favorites. Man, Buffalo was such a disappointment yesterday. They looked so good in the first 2 quarters. The defense was controlling. The offense just, even though they weren't doing a lot, they were doing enough. And then just something happened late where, again, the defense fell apart. In the second half yesterday, the Buffalo defense allowed 3 drives of 9+ plays. And they didn't do well against the offensive line. They had a punt blocked. The offense, again, looked good for 2 quarters and then really stumbled down there. I still think, I picked Buffalo to win the Super Bowl. I still think they're going to be a good team here, but yes, yesterday was such a disappointment considering how bad Pittsburgh looked at the beginning of the game. To see them not be able to hold on to that for 4 quarters was shocking. But I'm still a believer in the Bills. I'm still a believer in that offense. And who would have thought the Dolphins have a better record here than Buffalo? Tua looked good yesterday. Obviously, he's going to have the Miami defense right there, which is going to help so much. They're going to force turnovers here. They're going to be great. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring game here between the Bills and the Dolphins. But I'm still a believer in Buffalo, man. I'm not ready to give up on them yet after 1 game. Obviously, there's other teams that maybe you want to consider giving up on. I think there's more of a case to give up on the Packers after 1 game than the Bills. We'll get to the Packers later. But I think you look at Buffalo here, and you just look at a team that had struggles, had concerns, but we know what they can do. We know what Josh Allen, we know what Stephon Diggs, we know what Cole Beasley, we know what all those guys can do. Even if the offensive line is still a little bit of a problem, I still feel like Buffalo is they have such a higher ceiling. Their offense can be so much more explosive. Even though, again, Miami will keep it close because of their defense and all that. I still feel Buffalo will get it done here eventually in this game. Close, fun game, exciting AFC East divisional game, but in the end, I think Buffalo gets the edge. Buffalo gets the win. Give me the Bills, minus 3.5. The New England Patriots and the New York Jets. The Patriots are 4-point favorites. I honestly don't know how much time I should spend on this game, considering the Jets just look awful. And we knew this. We knew that the Jets were going to be bad. This was a rebuilding year here for the Jets. But, gosh, everything from that game yesterday just looked bad. The offense, looked like an Adam Gase offense. Wilson just got hit over and over and over again. He made some bad mistakes. But, again, he's a rookie. I'm not here to give up on him yet. But, the pass protection was terrible against Carolina. Now they've lost Becton, a potentially serious knee injury. Who knows what happens there? So I think New England really carries over in this game. Mac Jones, even though New England didn't win yesterday, Mac Jones looked good. Mac Jones had a real solid 133 passing yards in the first half. It would have been a season high in the first half of the Patriots in 2020. So a better first half than anything Cam did. His accuracy is good. He makes good decisions. There were a couple times where the moment was a little too big for him, but again, that's what being a rookie for the most part. He looked calm, cool, composed. Losing Trent Brown, we don't know how long that calf injury is going to be. That could be a little bit of a struggle, but I think New England's defense will really get to. I think New England's defense is going to have a field day with Wilson, and I think Jones is going to have. This might be the game that might Patriots think we have a franchise quarterback. I'm not ready to go all that way yet, but this might be the game against the Jets. I might have Patriots fans sitting there going like, okay, this guy can be great. This guy can be, because I think the Jets are going to be an easy target. I think Wilson's going to struggle, and I just think New England is just. I think New England's just a better team with a better offense, better quarterback, and their defense is going to really set the tone here against the Jets. And you have a great coach in Bill Belichick. All that said, I believe in the Patriots. Give me New England -4. The San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. The 49ers are 3-point favorites here on the road. Yesterday was rough for the Niners. Well, it was good in that they were amazing against the Eagles and that they showed what they can do offensively and defensively here. Elijah Mitchell had a good game, 104 rushing yards. But then the last 5-6 minutes of this game was just dreadful. They almost blew a 28-point lead. If it wasn't for one bad drive there by the Lions at the end, they almost blew a 28-point lead. And that if that happened, I would have fired everybody on that Niners coaching staff. And that's the kind of thing. Plus, you lose Mostert, you lose cornerback Jason Barrett. We don't know for how long both of those are. We still don't know. It was nice to see Trey Lance out there, but how is this going to be? Are we going to slowly see Trey Lance take over the Niners here? Or is it still going to be Jimmy G? I still have some questions about San Francisco, but I still think they're a very good team. But yesterday was rough seeing the end of that fourth quarter game. Like making the Lions look like world beaters there in the fourth quarter. Not great. You have to play 60 minutes, but you still did win the game yesterday. We still saw the greatness of what they can do on offense and defense. Philadelphia, great win yesterday as well. Jalen Hurts, 264 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 62 rushing yards. They were. You had Kenny Gainway do well. You had Miles Sanders. Devontae Smith got a touchdown in his debut. Jalen Reagor. The Niners had the Eagles, had a fantastic game. Now the Falcons are a really bad team, so I'll have to address that. But in Nick Sirianni's first game, they really looked like they had it going. It's a tough one here, but I'm going to take San Francisco. Even though I'm still a believer in Philadelphia and what they can do, I just think San Francisco is just a little bit better here. On the defensive side, I think they'll force Hurts to make a couple mistakes, and I think the offense. I think Jimmy G is going to do something really good in this game here as well, along with Kittle and all those guys. Close game, fun game. Should be exciting to see these two teams go at it. And again, it's not an attack on Philadelphia. Somebody has to win this game. I'm taking the Niners here. Fun, exciting, close game, but in the end, San Francisco, their defense will make the final plays in order to win this game. Give me the Niners -3. The New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are 3-point favorites on the road against Carolina. I had a lot of concerns about Jameis Winston heading into week 1, and I think I was proven wrong on most of all of them. Now, the most important thing yesterday, it's so weird. He threw 148 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, which is a weird game for Jameis, but he was 14 for 20. The 5 touchdowns were great. And the most important thing, no turnovers, which is the biggest complaint with Jameis at Tampa Bay, the turnovers. He had none yesterday. Now, maybe that will happen as the season goes on, but he looked really, really good. That the fact that they, in a neutral game, after all the things that happened with the hurricane down there, the fact that they took on Green Bay, who everybody thought Green Bay was going to roll in that game with everything happening with Rodgers, and they smoked them. And the defense really, really delivered as well. Eric McCoy, a leg injury, Lattimore, knee injury. Both of those things are up. We'll see how they, if they can stay healthy there, or if they can come back, whenever they can come back. But you're looking at New Orleans' offense here. It just looks so weird. And then you juxtapose that with Carolina. I'm not ready to buy into Carolina. It was a good win yesterday against the Jets, but I'm still not ready to buy into Darnold yesterday. It took them a long time to really get going. They only scored 1 touchdown inside the Jets' 10-yard lines, and they were there for 4 times. They had 4 trips inside the Jets' 10-yard line, and they only scored 1 touchdown. Darnold was hit 8 times yesterday. The offensive line's a struggle, so I think the Saints take advantage of that. And I just think it's weird that I'm a believer in Jameis now, but that one game was so compelling and so dominant. And that even if he isn't the franchise quarterback for this team, I just think he can do it here against Carolina. I think New Orleans really controls this game. I think they really take over this game, and I'm believing in another good game here for Deontay Harris. And yeah, I just think New Orleans really has it going here in this game. Still don't know if Jameis is the future, but for this game here, I think New Orleans' offense really takes over and beats the Panthers. Give me the Saints, -3. The Denver Broncos and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Broncos are 6-point favorites against Jacksonville. The Urban Meyer era got off to a horrible start. Just so many dumb mistakes there. In the first half, they had too many men in the huddle. They lined up incorrectly twice. They burned 2 timeouts in the first quarter. It's like, yeah, Urban, this isn't college anymore. This is not Ohio State. This isn't Florida. Welcome to the NFL. Things move a lot faster. I mean, Tyrod Taylor destroyed them yesterday. The offense looked bad. Hopefully we can see Trevor Lawrence break out here, but he can't really do it with this team around him. And then you had Denver, and the Giants aren't world beaters, but I ragged on Teddy Bridgewater last week, and maybe a little too harshly. But he looked good. He had good mobility, made some nice throws, 26 for 34, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now again, the Giants are not world beaters, but he looked like a real solid quarterback for this team. I don't know if he's the answer for this team because Denver. I mean, this is the fifth quarterback to start the Broncos season opener over the last 5 years. It has been rough since Peyton, to say the least. Bridgewater also did not have a turnover yesterday. You just look at it. I think this is a great situation to do. I think Jacksonville looks really bad. They're one of the worst teams right now in the league, and this is the opportunity for Denver to really show. All right, let's start off 2-0. Let's make Kansas City sweat a little bit. Even though I don't think Denver is a threat to win the AFC West, it'd be fun to see them start off 2-0 here, and I think that's what they're going to do here. Jacksonville again, really really bad, and Denver just looks like they can have it going there on the offensive side of the ball, and maybe they'll pressure Lawrence to make some mistakes here. 6 points. Why not? Big number. Like there were a lot of teams yesterday that surprisingly covered. But in this game here, I think Denver pulls it off. I think they cover the spread. Give me the Broncos, -6. The Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. The Vikings are the Cardinals, are 4.5 point favorites. Arizona, I mean, what a game they had yesterday. Kyler Murray may have been the best quarterback on the field of anyone yesterday, and I know that's really saying something, but he was unbelievable. Having DeAndre Hopkins there. The defense was incredible. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks. And you have J.J. Watt there as well to shut down Derrick Henry or whoever else it was. Brian Murphy Jr. had an excellent day. The defense, them shutting down Henry was one of the biggest surprises of yesterday. Seeing the way they destroyed Henry. Hopefully that's not a sign of what Henry is to come. But Arizona's defense really made you believe like this team can contend this year. And there's some weapons there on the offensive side. Even though A.J. Green, we hope that he can break out here. Keep an eye on Rondale Moore. But Arizona just has so many good players there on the offensive side that can really deliver. Along with Hopkins and Murray. Man, I was such a believer there in Murray yesterday. He was great, and the defense really taking over Minnesota there. I picked Minnesota yesterday to win. I have no idea why I did that. I don't know why in my brain I haven't realized I shouldn't trust Kirk Cousins ever. And the offensive line had a terrible game against Cincinnati. And now you bring Chandler Jones in. Like that is Chandler Jones had 5 sacks yesterday. And now he's coming into Minnesota, who has an awful offensive line. I don't think he's going to have 5 sacks again, but you keep an eye out for him. Dalvin Cook wasn't able to really do anything. I don't know if that was more his fault with the offensive line. They kept it going. They kept it overtime against Cincinnati, but it wasn't enough. And yeah, the offensive line also had like 70 penalty yards yesterday. Cousins did not look really good. So I guess I can't blame Kirk Cousins for all of this, but he was part of this team and they didn't look great. In all this, I'm just thinking Arizona. I'm starting to believe that this could be a real playoff contender here if they can keep this up. I mean, the way they destroyed Tennessee yesterday, that made me a little bit of a believer in this team. I think the Cardinals dominate in this game. I don't think it's even close. Again, if the Vikings continue to have these offensive line problems and you bring the Cardinals in there with that dynamic offense, I think this is a Cardinals 4.5. I think I can't say my lock of the week because my lock of the week yesterday was the Niners, so I can't really sit there and go, oh, definitely a lock because the Niners had that all the way up till the end. So I can't say this is the lock of the week, but I'm feeling really confident about this Cardinals win. I think the Cardinals win this one going away. Give me Arizona -4.5. The Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 13-point favorites. I'm done with Atlanta. I am absolutely done with Atlanta. They were so awful yesterday. And they started off well. They had 2 nice drives and then fell apart. The defense, don't even get me started on that. They had 99 penalty yards. They only had like 25 more rushing yards than they did passing yards. They only had 37 more passing yards than they had penalty yards. Just everything about this game and yeah, Atlanta's a rebuilding team. We know that. But gosh, they look bad. And now you bring it into Tampa. You bring Tampa there. And Tampa did not have a perfect game on Thursday. That was not the best game we've seen from Tampa. A couple mistakes, turnovers, fumbles. Fumble right there near the end zone. But you still have Tom Brady. You still have Brady, who had that great final drive against Dallas. You still got Gronk. You still have Antonio Brown. You still have all of those guys there. And Dallas really showed a way that you can beat Tampa Bay there. I mean, they really they had some nice screens. They made the defense tackle on the perimeter. So maybe that's the way to beat Tampa Bay there. But the problem is, I don't think Atlanta is good enough to have that kind of blueprint to beat Tampa Bay. 13 points. Now, again, this is a little bit of a 13 points. Do I really pick this? It's such a big spread. Do I ask them to cover? I'm going to trust it here. I'm going to trust in Tampa to cover, even though a part of me really wants to say Atlanta. I'm just a real believer right now in Tampa. Still, I think the best team in the NFC. Even though Week 1 was not the best game, I think they will recover more in Week 2. I think they have a much more dominant performance. Give me the Buccaneers here, minus 13. Brady, Gronk, the whole thing. Give me the Buccaneers, minus 13. The Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 3-point favorites. I'm rolling with the upset here. I really loved what I saw from Dallas last Thursday night. Love what I saw from Dak. 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. Looks like he didn't miss a beat. You have Amari Cooper there. Even though Zeke had a bad game. 33 yards, 11 carries. I think the combination of Dak and Cooper can really do something here. And right now I'm not 100% sold on the Chargers, even though they won yesterday. They still do have a lot of problems. I mean, they did some dumb things yesterday, fumbling in the end zone. But Justin Herbert had a real solid game, 337 yards, 31 to 47. But yeah, there was just a lot of mistakes that some dumb penalties the Chargers made, 2 red zone turnovers. It's difficult for me here because I think the Chargers are a good team, and yesterday that was a good win. But for some, and maybe it's dumb to trust the Cowboys. I'm sure I'm just dooming myself to have Dallas come in here and pull off, and blow it here. But there's just something about the way Dallas's offense played. There's just something about that, the way Dak and Cooper had that connection. I think Zeke's gonna break out here in this second game. They really, Dallas did a great job against the Bucs pass defense there. The offensive line really held up. It was like old vintage Dallas offensive line. Prescott was only sacked once. So I think in this game here, I'm rolling with Dallas. I like Dallas in this game. On the road, I think they can pull off an upset. If not, I'll say they lose by 1 or 2. I also have to pick. Look, this is my second upset here. I have to pick more upsets because I only picked one other than this one, so I have to pick an upset here. And I think if there's one team that I'm really believing in, it's Dallas. Which again, I'm probably setting myself up for failure, but I like Dallas here in this game. I like what Dak and Cooper can do together. Give me the Cowboys plus 3. The Tennessee Titans and the Seattle Seahawks. These Seahawks are 5.5-point favorites. I am rolling with Seattle here. I thought they were going to look great against Indianapolis, and they really did. Russell Wilson, 254 yards yesterday, 4 touchdowns, some big long touchdowns there from like 50 yards out. Big plays to Lockett, great plays to Chris Carson. They had a bad third quarter, but they have a new offensive coordinator there, so I'm not too worried. They did have 28 points. They did have 4 touchdowns. Russell Wilson had a pretty flawless day. They just looked great against Indianapolis. Tennessee, that was a real concern. I'm a little bit worried about Derrick Henry here. 8 rushing yards in the first half. There was that time when they were at the goal line. They gave him 2 straight plays at the 1, and he backfired. Maybe that's because Arizona's defensive line is really good. So I have some concerns with Henry. Tannehill didn't look excellent. This is going to be Seattle's first home game since COVID. You know that place is going to be loud. They're going to be raucous. They're going to just bring so much terror on Tennessee. I think in this game, Seattle is in complete control from early on. I'm not giving up here on Tennessee. I just think this is a bad couple games to start the season with Indianapolis and now Seattle. Not giving up on them, but I think it's just a tough start. But they'll be back. I like Seattle in this game. I like Seattle winning this away. I think the 12th man really delivers here, and Russell Wilson has another great performance. Give me the Seahawks -5.5. And the final game that we're going to predict for now, we're going to predict the Ravens and Raiders games tomorrow because I want to wait for Monday Night Football for those games. The Lions and the Packers. The Packers are 10.5-point favorites. Whew, that was an interesting game yesterday for both of these teams. Rodgers was so bad yesterday that it actually made me ask, is he doing this on purpose? Is he, because we know he doesn't want to be there, or at least, not until next year. Was he actively that bad so that he demanded an in-season trade? This is the thing I was wondering. Maybe not, but he looked so lost. And yeah, he missed a lot of spring training camp and all that. But I mean, he threw interceptions in the red zone, which he never does. The offense looked the offensive line was really rough. They had 2 rookie starters there. That's never going to be ideal. And Rodgers had just did not have a lot of time to make throws. So maybe that was it. But Green Bay did not look good yesterday. It was just the second time Rodgers has thrown multiple interceptions in the season opener since 2010. It was the second multi-interception game since the start of 2018. Like, we know how great he is, and yesterday was such a gut punch that you're just like, what the heck is happening here? And Green Bay's defense looked bad. I'm still believing in them because I think the Lions are the worst team in the league. And that is why. And yes, the Lions had a great fourth quarter yesterday. Yay. I'm still not a believer in Detroit. I don't think anybody is, realistically. I will say, if the Lions upset the Green Bay, and Green Bay looks just as bad against the Lions that they did against Seattle, New Orleans, major panic. Okay, keep that in mind. If that happens, then it is time to panic here. I'm not ready to go that far yet. I'm not ready to sit there and go, yeah, it's definitely, Green Bay's in trouble. So I'm gonna take Green Bay. I'm gonna trust Green Bay. I'm gonna trust Rodgers. I'm gonna trust that they're gonna figure it out here, at least here in the second game. Because if you look bad against Detroit, you might as well pack it in. Like, again, Detroit is garbage right now, and if you're gonna look that bad against them, then we're gonna have some concerns, and we might see Jordan Love quicker than we thought. So I'm gonna take Green Bay here. I'm gonna say they turn around. Green Bay's at home. That might Rodgers is much better at home. I'm gonna take the Packers here. I rely on the Packers. I'm trusting Rodgers. Give me Green Bay -10.5. That is it for now, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to this channel and you like what you see, make sure you subscribe down below for more content like this every single day. I'll be back probably next week with week 3 predictions. I'll have home run videos throughout it. A couple other videos I'll be working on throughout the week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Take care and God bless.